G'day punters, here we are for a bit of Punting Melbourne style at the Emerald. I'm joined by the punters, punter Dan Kelly.
Here we are, take two.
Take two.
Here we are.
We've just sat here and talked for 10 minutes and I realised the camera wasn't on.
Also, it was race-free Monday, here we are, that's our first.
How good are the race-free Mondays?
Mate, take a breath and catch up now. Great to actually take a breath and have a breather and, as you said, catch up on work.
It's awesome.
And get ahead for before the week start, get into the week.
So there's an extra meeting on Wednesday, so there's no actual gain in terms of workload, but for some reason it seems to make my whole week work more efficiently.
Yeah.
It suits me down to the ground. And
psychologically too, just that breather, you don't have to worry about looking at markets and worry about horses winning and things like that. We can actually have a dove come here, do the show and rush home and do work and things like that. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And the other half of the race-free Mondays, DK, is the twilight meetings on the Wednesday.
Yeah, they start this week.
I think there was probably 8 of them or so last year, so they've extended it this year.
Yeah,
so the only Mondays over the next 3 months, I think it is, where there's races in Victoria are the public holidays. So there's probably 4 of those, but aside from that, they're all
Wednesdays
race free, and then Wednesdays the double headers with the Metro meeting at the twilight, with them being a mixture of Sandown and Caulfield for the most part.
Yeah.
You were just saying 19th of December has just been
transferred to Caulfield from Sandown, just to probably give Sandown a break. But I saw I briefly read the release that Greg Carpenter let out about the wagering figures for last year for the double headers and the Mondays, the difference and things like that, and they're really positive.
Yeah, it was up 15% or something.
Yeah.
Which makes sense to me,
People can get engaged after work and things like that on a Wednesday, and so it's should be good. Should be good.
You bet. So I've had a look at Sandown just briefly. The fields are only moderate, but there'll still be some really good betting there. So
and we've got a Chuka leading into. It's always a nice track to bet at.
Yep.
I love betting at a Chuka, so yeah, it's a good way to start.
You bet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go back and talk about some of the things that have happened over the past week, and then we'll work our way towards Moonee Valley,
where a few of them are pertinent. Yeah,
there was a lot of really interesting things happening at Moonee Valley, and we can talk about some of the things that happened and talking about betting edges and identifying them, and because it's always easy in hindsight, but it's really interesting thinking through some of the periods leading into some of those races on Saturday.
Yeah.
So where are we going to start, mate?
I thought we will go one back to last Tuesday at Bendigo. A couple of things caught my eye there. Obviously, particularly the first winner, Leader, the first start of Tommy Hughes. Did you see him?
Oh yeah, he wouldn't go.
Yeah,
he just brained him. Yeah. I didn't. I only reviewed that meeting. I didn't bet at all on Tuesday. Yeah, but I
don't bet in those sort of races with the first starters and the 1,000-metre shoot races.
The second horse there's got some form.
It was odds on. It was $1.50.
Right, yeah.
And this thing, it's brained him, and it's run some time too.
Yes.
It's brained him. But there was a race there that I bet in the maiden, and I think another one particular topic for this week we can go is the change in tempo from one race run to the next can be vastly different. And in race 3 there was a 1,600 maiden I bet in, Queen Ladiva. It was a horse of Darren Weirs.
Yep.
She'd been going okay progressing on, but she came out of a slowly run Cranbourne maiden behind Beauty Option. I don't know if you remember Beauty Option who went in town last week,
And that was 1,400, wasn't it?
14 or 15, 1,500.
1,500, yep.
And anyway, it got into a race, and there was no speed in this race at Bendigo. So, and she was going to go forward and everything, so I thought it was a good bet. And anyway, 150 to 1 chance decides to go forward and takes off and sets up a really fast tempo, which enables Queen Ladiva to get a beautiful rhythm, and the second horse as well. And they've just run fantastic. It's gone like 5 lengths better than it's ever gone on my stuff previously about that. But that's all. It's tempo related. So I
think you've said the 2 key words there, DK. It's tempo and rhythm.
Yeah.
To me, when horses produce their absolute P figure, they've always got into a
beautiful rhythm.
Yeah.
Let's see, Johnny Allen it was John Allen on. He can get the horses into a beautiful rhythm. So so that was. So then it presents. If it presents, it'll probably present in a metro race to you next time. You've got to sort of say
it's in Wednesday.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, is it drawn in? Is it going to be held up? Is it going to get out and get momentum? How much tempo and things like that. So there's a few examples during the week of horses going from slow tempos being not suited to really going terrifically well into fast tempos, fit horses. So I thought that was.
On the last show we were here, we talked about that horse of Trent Sutton's that Linda rode at Kyneton
Oh yeah, Angelic Spirit.
Angelic Spirit. Right? And he went to Sandown, got in that race where they just went berserk. They went like 40 lengths above average or whatever. Just some, you know, they broke. I can't ever remember seeing a faster first half of a race, and like just destroyed her. You know what I mean? So not that she was particularly well set up. I made the point on that show that it probably helped the horses behind her more.
Yeah.
And I saw another one at Kyneton last week, or the week before, was sometime in the last 10 days. A horse that's always had ability. I've never seen it get into a really good rhythm in a race, and it finally did, and it showed what it's got, is Mastery.
Oh, yeah.
So
well,
it changed from...
New stable.
To Golden Mick Price from Matt Laurie.
But he just did it.
Just got into a beautiful rhythm. And again, it's probably helped the horses behind him, or one of them was Exaltara.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the rhythm's a big key thing, and the more genuine the tempo, I mean, it depends what stage of their preparation at, but when they're fit, I mean, I said to Ralph, he was asking me about amphitrite, so I was coming off soft tempos and soft race. I said, weir horses, they just benefit when the bigger the tempo, the better the rhythm, the better they go.
Yeah.
I thought Queen Ladiva was just you know, you don't, that's the real horse, that's what it can do, because it, you know, it got in those, so, but the only thing is that race had no speed on paper. I did the map, there was no speed. That also went to the front and set up that really fast. It had never been anywhere near the lead.
Yeah.
But so it's anyway, it's an interesting one. And
that's just one of the great frustrations and subtleties of racing, of which there are a million that make it the game it is.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to recognise how fragile all the balance is. You know, both in sort of the track surfaces, wind conditions, tempos, and all of these things go into the mix, and they all matter.
Yeah.
You know, and a length or two either way is what makes the difference in these races. And the better you get at predicting these things, the more edges you'll find. But it's always just a matter of trying to find edges. It's never about knowing. You know.
So we'll move on to Wednesday. Now I made a blue here. It's a horse with a similar profile, a female staying type, Jenny Beale of Darren Weirs, drew barrier 1 in a distance maiden, and in a race with no speed, tempo again, and I backed it, and fretting after the race, why would you back a Darren Weirs in a slow pace from barrier 1, but I did. But there was just the complete opposite, no momentum, held up, you know, just no room. So all of my video comment for that horse is, wait till it gets a run like Queen Ladiva does, draws out with Jay Allen, building momentum in a race, and it can do what it did, you know. It's just, so it just...
Yeah, absolutely. It was really hard to get away from Jenny Beale in that race, because she sort of did something at Ararat. But I sort of, in the end, was, I suppose, neutral with her.
Yeah.
I wasn't really against her, but I couldn't mark her nearly as short as the market could. I almost could have found the winner there. I marked it shorter than it.
He rode it really well. It's a nice horse. I mean, it was strong as Peter's. That was for Pete's sake.
Yeah.
Back on the drive.
But on the same card, DK, I opposed Supro. Had exactly the same issues that Jenny Beale had, and it overcame them, which it's most unusual at Sandown to do that. Like at the 200, you would have taken $1.50 or shorter Vitani. It was higher on the profile, had the momentum. B. Mellamy's just going to punch at the line and win. And Supre's got up underneath them, and which you very rarely see on the hillside. What a game it is. And then in the last, I'll tell you something that I haven't mentioned, because I remember you and I talking to these horses after its first start. Mr. Monaco's a horse I've always
Mr. Monaco,
really
we know him,
And I half locked him in that race, marked him $8, and there he is $15. And I had a winning day, decided I wasn't betting in the last race. I thought, just don't want to give anything away here. And it's Jessica Payne, you know, it's like,
that's right.
You know, and she rides it magnificently. And the frustrating part, I suppose, is there's a horse that I've always thought I'd get a result out of at some point, and now that was the opportunity to get a result out of the horse, and it's
missed you. You missed it. That is frustrating.
Happily feel my punters backed it, because as I said, I marked it half its odds.
I mean, we were harping on the same thing, but of a weir horse getting into a beautiful rhythm in a good tempo was Mr. Quickie.
Yeah.
I mean, and Linda set a beautiful tempo on her horse, and Mr. Quickie got into his rhythm from was he barrier 1 or 2, wasn't he?
Yes, one.
But with a nice, you know, he's a nice horse. Gee, he's progressive.
Yeah, absolutely. If he'd have been gate 1 there, I would have marked him like 2 to 1. Just frustrating. That was the meeting last Wednesday. A lot of the horses you wanted to back were drawn in slightly awkward spots.
Now Thursday, mate, we had the Pakenham.
And you just want to say on that race, though, DK. I don't get. I wish this is where I think the steward should be much more proactive. So Supre ran third in the race in restricted room at Bendigo. Lime Show ran second from gate 1 at Bendigo. She was in the Mr. Quickie race and has been beaten 12 lengths. Now I would probably guess that she might have been in season, like that seems to be the order of the day at the moment. And the mares races are becoming almost, you almost can't bet them. The changes in form and everything else. And I'll probably need to go back and check the updated stewards report, but the last I checked there was no explanation.
Oh, no explanation. Oh, yeah. They asked for one.
I looked on the afternoon, so I haven't looked since.
Is they going to follow up? Did they say follow up?
Yeah, there was a follow up.
But you
should, like, it's just, that's the sort of thing I think, I find that sort of thing very frustrating. It was off in the betting, and then it gets beaten 12 lengths. I mean, it's just, you know, punters they should be able to expect at the minimum an explanation in those circumstances. So, anyway.
Now we've got the Pakenham standalone meeting coming up. Did you catch any of the racing there Thursday night?
Well, as you know, I treat Pakenham a bit horses.
Yeah, and I apologise. Someone asked me, I said, I'm a bit wary.
So I only back horses that have been running there. So I did actually stick my toe in the water there for the first time this season on Thursday, just to bet in one race.
Right.
A, because I thought there was an edge in the race, and B, because I wanted to get a feel for how it was playing leading into this standalone meeting, because I was deciding if I was going to have any involvement at all in this standalone meeting or none. And after that Thursday night, I'll be having none. Now I know that rail was out 9 metres on Thursday, but that can only happen if that track there's been no rain leading into that meeting, really, no rain of any significance. The track is loose. They have to oversow it with rye. The fact that it's kikuyu in this climate, when it's basically dormant till it gets to 19 degrees, it's just not growing, and it's a lot of horses lose their confidence on it. Now I know that you could probably say that a lot of those races there on Thursday night are across the track and they were tight finishes, so a lot of horses have sort of handled it. But I just think from a form assessment point of view and trying to price it and back winners there, it's just fraud. So there's no way.
It was a $53,000 quaddy or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I will not be doing a full set for that. I'll be doing a full set for Moonee Valley on Friday night, and at the most I might target one race there on Saturday.
Anyone who didn't see it, they ended up on gradually getting to the outside rail for 5, 6 and 7, and then the last winner came up the fence.
And it hadn't run for 3 years. It actually had some nice form, that horse. So I mentioned it to because that was the race I bet in. I didn't have it as a bet, but I said just be wary of this horse because it's got some nice form. But now, admittedly, that was 9 metres, and it's sort of a night meeting, so it might be better on Saturday if they have perfect weather leading in, which they might not get. If it rains, it could get very messy.
Yeah, we've got some nice weather coming up this week.
Yeah, I thought there was some rain for Saturday.
Sunday week?
No, it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
It's this Saturday. So I mean, it could work out right, and people might look at it and go, well, "What's Potts going on about?" But it's just a chance. You'll see some form turnarounds there because certain horses handle it and others don't, and if it gets any rain, it gets looser. It'll get messy very quick.
Keep an eye on it. Yeah.
So I'm saying, buyer beware there. Just be real careful.
Yeah. I just want to talk about one. Just back to that on Friday, Kyneton. You might be able to convert this to links for people. Potts.
Yep.
There was what we were talking about changing tempo. They also got Buffon won there by 7 lengths at Kyneton, and he was coming off a slow pace Moe race where he was inside, and then now he's gone to Kyneton. Now at Moe, this is just off ratings to wins.
Basically, the Moe one's minus 20 lengths.
Out in the first half of the race, minus 20 lengths. Below average, below par. And Kyneton, they've gone out
plus 20.
Plus 20 lengths.
Near enough too. Yeah.
So there's 40 lengths in the tempos in the first half of the race for that horse from one race to another.
Which is, I'm sure. I think a length's 2.5 metres or something. So if you put the two races' vision side by side, by the time you're at the halfway point, the horses in the Kyneton race would be 100 metres ahead of the horses in the Moe race.
So that's just what we're dealing with anyway, and that's why. Anyway, but I just thought that was interesting when it won so well. Anyway, I suppose we could press on to Moonee Valley, mate.
So the subject you raised, DK, about the change of tempos, it's one of the most interesting aspects of racing and what it does to horses. And so you've got a part of the change of the tempo is the distance change. Do you know what I mean? So if you're going from a fast run 1400, for instance, up to a slow run 1600, that's going to have an impact on that runner.
Absolutely.
Right. So you've got to decide how is it going to handle it. Is it going to be able to, what sort of rating can it produce under those circumstances? Similarly, like a factor that I quite like is horses that have run at a high distance. Let's just say, for example, 1600. They've gone and ran on a fast run 1600, and they come back to 1400. Particularly if they're an on-pace runner, it means they're almost certain to run to their peak rating. So, you know, those little subtle change of tempos, and the higher up the distance range you go, the more play there is in it. You know, you'll get these dramatic situations like -20s to +20s, and
more in the
stuff
staying
like that.
races,
Like
for sure.
The range is tighter in the shorter distances, you know, for obvious reasons, and then that, as you get to the stay, that's why staying races are harder to rate, and that's why I think my results aren't, like, once I get over 2,000 metres, my stuff's just not as, you know, not as accurate, you know, because I think the tempo becomes more of a factor, and it's harder to predict, you know, because, I mean, really, in a 1200 metre race, for instance, the mid-race section of the race is really only 200 metres, really, or 300 metres, or 400 metres, whatever way you want to look at it. But in a
can go for 800.
In a 2400 metre race, like the mid-race can be, it can be 1600 metres of it. You know what I mean? They're just cantering along or going berserk or whatever. GR, boys. So anyway, that's a it's something for the punters to think about anyway. And yeah, the best way to do it is to back fit things. Look at, you know, what horses that have won, what they've done did at their previous start, and look at what tempo changes they've undertaken and distances and stuff, and you'll get an idea of what works and what doesn't. So anyway, we'll that'll do us for part one. We'll come back in part two and discuss Moonee Valley.